Hi, it's Val. Welcome to this first episode of Are You Afraid of 90s Craftings? The series in which we are trying to reproduce old craftings from 90s magazines. Are they expensive to do? Can I get the same result? How can I beautify them? This is all questions I am going to answer because today we are going to analyze one of them. Today we are making a crafting out of a 1995 magazine. I chose to start with the haunted house for 3 reasons. 1. A few of you voted for that craft after watching the introduction video of the series. 2. I just love the general look of the craft. I love miniatures, so it fits me. And also I love that they included tiny characters in the scene. 3. It seemed easy to do. Since I never tried once to reproduce a craft from a magazine, I thought my best move was to start with the easiest project of all. But the thing is, it was not easy. I had ton of difficulties along the way. Wooden craft sticks, a little paint and glue are all that are needed for a spooky Halloween scene. Really? Let's see. You'll need about 225 skill sticks, 125 notch skill sticks. That's what they look like from up close. To be honest, I knew nothing about those. About 9 craft picks, a jumbo stick, paint, glue. To create the shape of the characters, they use clothespins and beads. But I didn't really like it, so I chose to use 4 peg people instead. And to create the clothes of the characters, they wanted us to use cardboard, an orange embroidery floss, and a black marker. But I ended up using a bunch of other things. You will also need a ruler, a compass, and scissors. And that's about it. Then you will need to create the template by using cardboard. For mine, I used a cereal box. I wanted it to be more sturdy, so I stuck it to another piece of cardboard. I let it dry all night under some weight. Then I cut the template and I was ready to go. For this project, you will need to work with 3 different types of panels. This one is called the basic panel. It is made of 12 sticks side by side. For all the panels, I use white Elmer's glue and I spread it with a spatula. It was the technique that worked the best for me, but you may find yours. When I was done, I put weight on top of it. Otherwise, the wood is going to curve as it dries. And trust me, we don't want that. To make the window panels, I had to use the notch sticks for the first time. To know where to cut them, I referred to a chart in the instructions. From here, everything was pretty clear and easy to understand. I've always been heavy on the glue, but there's nothing I can do about it. I just wanted to make sure it stays in place, but I don't think you need to put that much glue. And this is what it looks like once dry. Okay, this is where I made my first mistake when I made the window bars. For me, that part of the instruction were not clear, so I just decided to use the drawing as reference And this is where I made a mistake. I misunderstood the drawing. I thought it was the front of the panel because I didn't see the supports in the drawing. But it was in fact the back of the panel. I don't know why the author made them almost transparent, but it certainly confused me. For the front door panel, it's basically the same process. For me, the door looked a bit too small, so I decided to make it bigger. Now that I had my panels, it was time to work on the first story. For almost every panel, you will need to build supports, as shown in the drawing. Let me show you an example with the floor from the first story. So you are supposed to put 2 supports at 3 millimeters from the edges and the other 2 at 6 millimeters from the edge. And what I didn't know at the time is that you have to be very precise. If you're not careful enough, you may end up with bad surprises later on. So I did all the supports for the first story the same way I just did with the floor. For certain panels, you will need to use notchsticks, but it's basically the same technique. In the instructions, they are asking to cut notchsticks and to use them as shutters, but I didn't like it. I don't think it looks like shutters at all, so I decided to build my own. Now it was time to paint the panels, and to be honest, I didn't even read that part. When it comes to painting, I want to do my own thing. Since I like the gray they use for the house, I decided to do the same. But for me, it was lacking contrast. So I decided to not only put the shutters black, but also the roof and the porch. I applied 2 coats of paints on all the panels. This is what you end up with for the first story. Your pieces should look like this from the right side and should look like this from the wrong side with the supports. Then I age all of those with sandpaper. It cannot be too perfect. It's a creepy house after all. It was finally time to assemble the first story. I was so eager to know if all those pieces really worked together. But it was not going to be that easy. As you can see, the supports from the floor panel were too close to each other. And because of that, the wall didn't fit into the floor panel. But luckily I managed to do so by playing a little bit with the supports. But after that episode, I was really concerned for the rest of the project. One support on that panel is useless. It was not where it should have been, and so because of that, I was not able to fit the wall into it. Things were not going well, and I have to admit, a part of me wanted to drop all of this. But I was too involved to quit after the first story. For this project, I was really inspired by the holidays, It's almost Christmas, and I don't know, all sorts of memories are coming back to me. When I was a child, my favorite toys were Polly Pockets. Polly Pockets were those cool miniatures you can bring everywhere with you. They were fun and full of surprises. I didn't save a lot of toys for my childhood, but I still have all my Polly Pockets. And on all the Polly Pockets I have, my favorite ones are covered in glitters. So for that reason, I decided to cover the house with glitter. I want to make the cutest project possible, something the younger me would have adored to play with. I will not show you what I did for the second story, because it's basically the same steps as for the first story. So this is what you should end up with. And this is once assembled. I then glued the second story on top of the first story, and I immediately saw something was wrong. But before taking a closer look into this, I put heavy stuff inside the house so it applies enough pressure to help them stick together. So, I don't know what happened here. I thought I followed the instruction well, but apparently not, because now I have 2 holes in my house. I will have to fix that later, but for now, let's move on to the roof. To create the attic front, I referred to that drawing. I really enjoyed working with notchsticks, but to cut them, you'll need a tool. In the list of materials, they didn't put a cutter, and the author just tells us to snap the sticks. I tried twice and it didn't work, so don't even bother trying. This is all the pieces you will need to create the roof. If you are new to this channel and you know nothing about the concept of Are You Afraid of 90s Craftings, you can always go back and watch the introduction video. In it, I'm showing the 4 magazines I bought for this project. I'm also showing the crafting projects I'm interested in trying. And I'm even showing silly ads from those magazines. I'm telling you, some of those ads are out of this world. The roof was so tricky to glue, but I did it, and I let it sit all night. But when I came back the next day, it looked like this. The hole on top of the roof was major. It was not supposed to look like this at all, and I was so tired of all those problems. But once again, I had to come up with a solution, so I made this piece with small sticks I had, and it was looking so much better like this. To hide all the holes in the house, I created moldings with small pieces I saved. This is the back of the house, and this hole is enormous. Look at this! I needed to do something about this, so I stuck a second molding, and it was better. We are almost done with the house, but we still need to make the porch. With all the problems I just experienced, I was tired of following the magazine, so I decided to come up with my own version of the porch. But I still did a couple of pieces like the magazine. I used 5 sticks for the roof and 5 for the porch. I used notchsticks that I saved earlier to create the decoration on top of the roof. In the magazine, they told you to cut 13 notchsticks and then to glue them one by one on top of the roof. For me, it made just more sense to stick them together on a flat surface, so that's what I did. I used the guides on my mat to help me make a straight line. The stick also helped a lot. This is where I started to improvise. I glued 2 sticks that were already painted black to the decoration piece. Again, I used the guides on my mat to help me determine where to put the sticks. That way everything would be straight. When it was dry, I turned the piece around and I added decorations on top of the sticks. I then attached this new piece to the porch floor. Now, the banister. To tell you the truth, I didn't like the proposition of the magazine. For me, the banister seemed clumsy and made me think of a bunch of tombstones. So I decided to make my own version. I glued 2 notchsticks together to create something a little bit thicker. These will become the support of the roof. For me, the roof was too high, so to bring it down a little bit, I created this new piece. Keep your jack-o'-lanterns for years using this amazing home shrinking and hardening process. Easy instructions for crafts, keepsakes. Send the SASE to receive a full-size set of plans, free for our country washboard, magazine rack and toilet tissue holder, the only washboard America made since 1895. I use wooden beads to create cute pumpkins for the porch. I told you I want to make the cutest thing, so we really need pumpkins. I don't know about you, but I really love snow. And here in Quebec, it's not unusual to see snow in October. This year, it even snowed a little bit just the day before Halloween. So I thought it was the perfect opportunity to include snow in a project. I mixed baking soda, Mod Podge, and a bit of white paint, and that's how I got snow. Now it was time to make the creatures. In the magazine, they made 1 witch and 3 ghosts. For my project, I'm going to make 3 witches and 1 ghost. In the magazine, they are using a bead for the head and a small clothespin for the body. For my project, I am going to use wooden peg people. I made them different sizes by gluing different types of beads under them. This one will be the ghost and the other 3 the witches. I painted them all white, drew a face, and painted a face. I wanted my witches to all be identical, except for their heights and the color of their hair. In the magazine, they are using cardboard to dress their characters. You even have the pattern right here, you can use it, but for me it looked a little bit too flat, so once again I did my thing. I used crepe paper for the dress, and as I told you, I dressed all my witches the same way. I attached the dress to the doll. I made a fluffy color using black wool. And I use a shiny ribbon to make a coat. I glued a bead as a button, and I applied the same Mod Podge mixed with glitter that I use on the house. Then I made their broom. I made their hair with embroidery floss, and I used pastel colors because the younger me would have loved that. I decided to make tiny glasses for one of my dolls. For the hats, I used thick black cardboards. I glued the hair on the dolls. And the hat on the hair. I also made the spiders out of beads. I painted them, covered them with black wool. Added red stripes with a red embroidery floss. Put 2 gems for the eyes. Added legs and teeth using pipe cleaners. And I finish with the glitter Mod Podge. For the ghost, I use white crepe paper. I cut a piece and I pulled on it to make it thinner. This will make it easier to work with. With a pipe cleaner, I did the arms. I put the paper on top and played with it. I tried to follow the natural shape of the doll and I tried to create a nice drape. When I liked it, I started to add glue. Then I covered it with our glitter Mod Podge and I finally painted a face. And we were done. So that's it. This is my version of the haunted house from 1995. It's not exactly like the picture in the magazine because I changed a couple of things, but I really like it. At first, I was not sure about the glitter. I'm not a glitter person. Don't get me wrong, I love glitters, but not in my house. And you know what? That was probably my favorite part of all this project. They added so much texture to the house, to the spiders, to the snow. Everything looks really frozen. It's almost as if a coat of frost was all over the house. I really like the effect. And because they are covered in Mod Podge, not a single one has fallen off, so I'm happy about that. In terms of money, was it pricey to realize this project? For me it was not too bad because I already had a lot of materials here in my studio. But it's another story for somebody who had to buy all of this. But I will leave in the description below all the materials I bought and where I bought them. Most of them are coming from Amazon and Michaels, so they are easy to find. Now, do I recommend this craft? Not really, no. Even though I really like the final result, I have to admit the instructions were poorly written. It was really hard to follow. It was a pain. At a certain point, I even asked my husband for some help to understand the instructions. And if you're not precise enough, your house will crumble apart and you will have holes in it. You have to be super precise to the millimeter, and wood tends to move and curve as it dries, so that's problematic. But if you have enough patience and money, you can always go for it. I think it looks good in the end. You know, I was curious to learn a little bit more about the author of this craft, because in the 90s, any crafters were invited to submit a crafting at the Crafts and Things magazines. And so I wanted to know who made that craft and her name was Sigrid Eder. And sadly, I learned that she passed away in 2014 at the age of 71. She was remembered for her crafting skills. She made a dozen of crafting books, and 3 of those are available on Amazon. I will also leave the links to those books in the description below. In the next episode of Are You Afraid of 90s Craftings, we are going to make the wonderfully Wicked Wanda. And once again, I think it's gonna be a challenge. And I'm telling you, you don't want to miss that. So make sure to subscribe. If you like that video, please like. I'm always super happy to know that you enjoyed watching my videos. On that note, I wish you a Merry Christmas, and I see you soon with more Halloween stuff to come. Bye!